worth it, but it's also not optional, so just do it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of my collection Chronicles. Today I have an episode that's been requested several times actually, and I did not expect anyone to be interested in this, but yeah, today we're talking about my succulents and cacti, which I do have some as you can see, but I never thought anyone would actually want to see them. If this was just a joke, then ha 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 ha, you got me. I'm going to include also my carnivorous plants because I would have shown them anyways, and I kind of, like, I don't want to say I'm ashamed of my succulents, but you know, it's not like it's an amazing collection or anything. It's no rare plants or anything, so like maybe I'm too classist to be proud of them because they grew a lot over the years. But yeah, I don't know, I want to put in the carnivorous plants as well, so I feel like I'm actually talking about cool plants as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I really love my succulents. Like, I've been meaning to give them away, but I can't because I do love them. And maybe it's just that I have this kind of toxic consumerist approach to growing plants where I'm like, oh god, it has to be a flashy, rare specimen to be interesting and noteworthy. And maybe this is now my lesson to learn about humility, so I'm really thankful for that for sure. Yeah, with that out of the way, no idea about succulents, what they're called or anything. The only thing I know is they don't like a lot of water, so I keep them very dry over the winter, meaning I guess I watered them last time in November and then first time again in March. From then on, I just soak them in water maybe once a month or every other month. Just soak them for a few hours overnight or sometimes 2 nights when I forget them. Then they hydrate, I get rid of the water, and then it's just drought for another month or so. That is kind of how I take care of them. And since I'm already holding it, let's just get started with this. This is a jade plant, I guess. Actually, this is a cutting that I got from one of the university buildings here. They had a really nice jade plant in their kind of foyer area. I just broke off a piece of it, planted it, and I guess 4 years later, this is what it looks like. It has grown a lot. It took it a while. In the beginning, it was very slow, didn't really do anything. Now it's starting to branch out a little bit, and I think that's really nice. It's very wobbly still, even though it's been in this mug, which has different isoprenoids on it, spelling out happy birthday. This is a gift I got during my bachelor's, actually, so this has been with me for a while now as well. But anyway, so even though it's been in this mug for a while, it's still really wobbly. Yeah, this is the jade plant, and you know, it's doing its thing. Okay, so moving on to my other succulents. I specifically did not say cacti because I know this is not a cactus. I guess this is like an Opuntia. I think the others should all be cacti, right? But anyway, so as you can see, based on the color of the pots, they come in 2 trios. And if you're at all familiar with Scandinavian approaches to interior design, you might recognize these because they're from IKEA. You've probably been to IKEA, you know, they have like this plant section towards the end of the store. And there, I don't know if they still do it, but they always used to sell like these plastic containers with 3 different succulents. And this is where I got these from. They grew a lot for sure. I know this one in particular was not doing super well. So it kind of started off just with these 2 lobes on the bottom, but on top of each other. So these 2 lobes used to be one plant, but then it kind of broke off and it was rotting, which was really sad. So then I just tried to replant it, and now I have 2 of them growing together. And you know, later another one broke off and I just put it next to it again. This plant has been doing pretty well under my conditions so far, and I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with all of them. They're so cute. I love that I don't have to deal with them at all. If I water them today, great. If I don't, whatever. If I water them next week, fine as well. Next month, sure, right? So they're the perfect plant for me in that case because I don't like to water and I don't really water a lot. This one as well, it grew a lot and I really like this because it has a slightly twisted optic to it. This is really cool. If you actually know what these plants are, like if you recognize what they could be, please let me know in the comments below because I don't know anything. Like I know this is an Opuntia in German, and I know this one is Schwiegermuttersitz in German, which I guess translates to your mother-in-law's chair. I used to have a similar one as a child and also teenager in my room, and they grow really slowly, but like they can get really big. I remember as a child I went to like a succulent exhibition with a friend of mine. She was like super into succulents. She's like loves them, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just come with you. I think we were like 7 years old at that point. And I've always wondered why my cactus at home was called my mom's in-law's chair, because I'm like, okay, I get it, like sitting on this is not really comfortable, and I guess since presumably you hate your mother-in-law, you don't want her to be comfortable, so she leaves quickly, right? I'm like, yeah, fine. But then in that exhibition, they had some of these that were like this big. And then I was like, now I get it. This is why they're called that. This is kind of the first trio. The second trio, I got these ones a little later, and I feel like, I don't know what this one is doing. If maybe this like part in the back is kind of rotting off or something, but they're complementing the other ones, and you can really see, I guess, growth steps on them. Are these like internodes? I'm really not comfortable talking about these plants, but people asked me for it, so I'm talking about them. And then, yeah, last but not least, I have this little one, which makes new shoots every now and then. And I guess I should repot this one because it's getting really tight. Clearly, I've never taken care of them. They're just sitting in their pot like this. Yeah. Sorry if this was really anticlimactic because I literally only have IKEA succulents, but they're cute. I like them. Okay, coming to the second part of this video now, where I want to talk about my carnivorous plants. And maybe let's just start off with this one. This is my Venus flytrap, which is in bloom. I guess like most of them are fading for now. I know this plant looks really rotten right now. It's a really, really rough look. It kind of always looks like this around this time of the year because Venus flytraps need to take a winter rest. For this plant, I just put it into my bedroom, which is not heated during the winter. So it can rest there, and then it kind of puts out blooms, and then whatever is left over from last year just kind of rots off. Do have the feeling it maybe looks a little worse than last year, which I'm not super happy about. So I've had this plant now I got it in 2019, so it's been almost 3 years of me growing this plant. I have read that if you don't provide them the perfect conditions over winter, they can handle that for a few years, but then at some point they just kind of wither off. Maybe that's what this plant is doing right now, or maybe it's just gonna bounce back and produce a really nice show of trap this summer again. I hope really it's gonna be the latter because it's just such a nice plant. I have this one just in special soil for carnivorous plants. As you can see, I try to keep it wet at all times, which is true for all of the carnivorous plants. Yeah, then I have this one. This is a Sarracenia. I feel like this might be either a Leucophila or a Leucophila hybrid. I've shown this plant before in another video. Same for the Venus flytrap. This is just coming out of its winter rest. You can see there are lots of new pitchers growing on it, which I'm really happy about. There you can see some leftover from last year's bloom. So contrary to my prediction, last year actually it bloomed because I forgot to water this for some time, and these plants hate that. They need a lot of water. So I can't really use tap water for these plants, which I actually use for my cacti. Saying cacti as I'm holding the one non-cactus up. But like these get tap water. But for the carnivorous plants, I really don't feel comfortable with that because the water here is extremely alkaline, has like a pH of 7.8 almost. And it has like a TDS of 600 parts per million, so that's a lot. I think this would just burn off the roots on these plants, which I do not want to happen. So they just get RO water. Sometimes I do just whatever is left over from watering the orchids, they get it. So they do get a little bit of fertilizer, but you know, they're carnivorous plants for a reason. So if they need anything else, they can just trap insect. Last year, the Venus flytrap has been munching on fruit flies a lot. So it's been extremely busy with those. This one, sometimes if there's a bigger fly, the Sarracenia is gonna catch it. Here, this is Drosera rotundifolia. This is a native species to Central Europe, and as you can see, it's in bloom right now. This one is also just coming out of its winter rest. It's been munching on some fungus gnats this year already. This is really nice, I think. Yeah, I'm really grateful for it. I guess in the close-up you would see that one of the leaves is just opening again after digesting some prey, so that's really cool. You can see there's like a dead insect that's been munched on. Then the last plant in this little arrangement is my Cephalotus. This is actually a carnivorous plant from Australia, which I'm really excited about. These are kind of harder to find in Europe. It's been doing pretty well. Again, like the other ones, it's just coming out of its winter rest. Been producing some new pictures, and all of these kind of in this pot, they have their own very strong light that really just fries them. Especially the Sarracenia needs a lot of light for the really nice coloration on the pictures to develop. And I'm also hoping that the Cephalotus is gonna produce a little more pigmentation now in the growing season. You can see there are some kind of reddish spots on it, but I'm really hoping for it get a little more color, because this is really why I got this one. Sometimes I've seen the pictures can turn really dark brown on them almost, and that's very pleasant. Through line breeding, there are certain plants that do have the tendency to grow a little darker than others, but yeah, let's see. And then the last one is actually my Nepenthes. This is a plant that's been with me. So like the Venus flytrap and the Sarracenia, the Nepenthes has been with me since 2019. I got the Nepenthes at like a plant show at like a botanical garden for just €5. So the Nepenthes I have is a Nepenthes Bloody Mary. It's a hybrid with, I want to say, Ventricosa. Not 100% sure what the other parent is. I'll just put it in an annotation here. This plant really does not like that all the orchids and everyone else kind of needs a little bit of a seasonal change. I can really see it slowing down during the winter, and it's not happy about that at all. This plant would really prefer to just continue growing, but yeah, unfortunately it's winter and the majority of other plants need their winter rest, so this one gets less light and also lower temperatures. And I think this would really benefit from just having constant high temperatures and constant brighter light for almost 3 years now as well. So I think it might be time to clean it up. You see there's a lot of moss growing on it. Yeah, I think there are also some dead pictures and so on that I could take care of. I'm really happy with this one. And I love that the Bloody Mary is such a compact hybrid, because typically Nepenthes are more vining plants. And I guess you could compare that also to a Hoya, you know, or like a vanilla. They like to grow long stems and just climb around. And luckily the Bloody Mary stays very compact. This is actually what I've been looking for as well, so I can keep it in a terrarium or paludarium, whatever you call it. This has made a lot of progress. I think of all the carnivorous plants, the Nepenthes has made the most visible size increase, but it has slowed down a lot now. Yeah, so with that said, thanks a lot for watching. I was thinking of having another installment maybe of Labiate Cattleyas for the next episode of the collection Chronicles. If you're interested in another group of my plants, just let me know. And yeah, with that said, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Yeah, so